workplace wellness, building resilient and thriving teams. My name is Monica McConkey with Eyes on the Horizon Consulting. Okay. For those of you who have also attended my webinars, you know I love to use Poll Everywhere because it's anonymous and we see the responses right on the screen. So it's got some perks over using chat. So before we jump into the content, let's take a moment to set up Poll Everywhere. The easiest is just to grab your phone, to go to your texting app, and to start a new text. The number you're texting to is 22333. The message you're texting is Monica, MCCONK 993. Or you can also open up another window in your browser. You can go to pollev.com, put in the code, and that will allow you to answer questions from your computer as well. You only have to do this once, set up once, and you're good to go for all of the polls. So again, go to your texting app on your phone. The number you're texting to is 22333. The message you're texting is Monica, MCCONK 993. Once it goes through, you should get a text response saying you're part of my session. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything else. Just give a moment to get that set up. So this is what the screen on your phone should look like prior to hitting send. Let me know if anybody's having trouble with this. Okay, let's test it. In one word, and it's got to be one word, or if it's multiple words, you got to connect them or they'll be split up because this is a word cloud. In one word, describe how you're feeling today. Okay, we got a message that someone's having trouble. So at the top of the poll here, you will see either you can go to your texting app 22333 and do the code Monica MCC ONK 993. Okay, got it. All right. So we've got folks who are feeling tired, busy, happy, overwhelmed, resourceful, motivated, mediocre, fantastic, worthy, blessed, positive, energized, good. That's hopeful. So you'll see the words that are larger are the words that more of you have typed in. So several of you have indicated that you feel tired, that you feel busy, and that you feel happy. What else do we got here? Overwhelmed, determined, blessed, trying to hit the new ones. Okay, good, inspired. All right. Happy, busy, tired is still taking over in size. We've got energized, peaceful, worried. What am I missing? All right. We know Poll Everywhere is working. Super happy that even though you guys are tired and busy, that you're here taking some time to hopefully get some takeaways to grow your team, to help your team thrive. This is a very interactive presentation, lots of polls. So if it helps with the tiredness, if it helps focus, just be sure to stay engaged, tune into the polls, take notes, whatever you need to do. All right, let's go to the next one. So, question, yes or no? So you'll type in either an A or a B. Do you manage people at your job? If you do, text A. If you don't, text B. Let's let these numbers just um, even out here. Okay, it looks like we're at 63:37. Looks like it's slowing down. Okay, so 63% of you the on the training manage people. This is going to be really uh, good information for you in the present moment. Like you're going to be able to take this and kind of do some internal reflection on what does this mean for my team? This and this can be kind of broad too. Um, but it's going to be worded like a workplace setting. So 37% of you do not oversee, manage, supervise people at your job. Some of this you may be sitting back thinking, I wish my management, my supervisor, my administration would do these things. But I want this to transcend that thought. I want you to maybe jot down ideas you can take back to your supervisor. I want you to take things in because one day some of the 37% of you are going to be managing people or managing teams. So keep an open mind, keep it learning, not the negative viewpoint of like, well, my job doesn't do this at all. If only they would do this, then it would be good. So just a little mindset tip there. Much of what I'm presenting today comes from a book called Wellbeing at Work, How to Manage or How to Build Resilient and Thriving Teams by Jim Clifton and Jim Harder. And this is a Gallup, so Gallup polls. This is comes from Gallup. So lots and lots and lots of data, which I really like because you can think but until you really survey the people, you don't really know. And so this book has done a ton of polling and surveying to come up with these um, very specific areas that increase well-being at work. Okay. So we're going to talk about what is well-being in general. We're going to talk about the 5 elements of well-being as mentioned in the Wellbeing at Work book. We're going to talk about risks. What are the greatest risks to having a culture that thrives in the workplace? And then we're going to hit on a few things around career engagement and employee strengths. So some kind of, I guess you could call it some burnout prevention tools. So let's start our conversation around well-being. So the first thing, and this does not have to be one word, this can be a phrase. I want you all to go to the poll, your phone or browser, wherever you're doing the poll, and just describe what does well-being mean to you. It can be a phrase, sentence. What does well-being mean to you? That you're balanced, that you live by your morals, mind, body, soul, like holistic. It is a state of being well versus being unwell, that you're experiencing mental health, you have a well-balanced life, the mental, physical, emotional health. So a kind of a holistic view again, that you're safe. Maybe that your basic needs are being met, that you feel satisfied and content. You have balance, overall health, that you're mindful, present in the moment, safe and secure. healthy, your overall feelings. So if I'm reading that right, like you have an overall feeling of well-being, that there's a sense of harmony and peace in your life. You can relax. Healthy. Well-being is the ability to balance multiple aspects of life through work and personal life. It is the state of being well mentally and physically. That is like a dictionary definition. You're comfortable being healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, confirmation of living. That almost sounds to me like purpose, like I have a purpose. Mental and emotional health, being happy and content, happiness and healthy, how I manage my stress and day-to-day life, family, work, kind of that balance again, that I'm experiencing peace, living a peaceful life, balance, lots of balance being represented here. That's a good question right there. What is balance, right? What does balance look like during the seasons of our life, especially that are unbalanced? All right, good responses. We're going to dive into this a little bit more, and you will see some similarities to what you have described here for well-being. So Gallup did a poll in late 50s, 58 to 59, and they interviewed people who were elderly. And the question they asked was, what is the secret to living a long life? And there was more to it than that, because these people were still active in their elderly years. They had, reported a sense of happiness, fulfillment. So, secrets of a long life. This is what they found out from their poll in the late 50s, that these people who lived long, happy, healthy lives had a great deal of fun at work. They prioritized friends and family in their leisure time. They didn't worry about money. They ate in moderation rather than following a specific diet plan. They were physically active and slept well. They experienced little worry and were content regardless of the different geographies and town, city sizes where they live. So the quote that came with this section in the book is that a good job with engaging work is the very foundation of a thriving life. So think about these, let's see, 2, 4, 5 secrets of a long life. And what do you have nailed down? And what is maybe on the horizon for you to work toward? It's an interesting list, isn't it? Now, another book, The Blue Zones. I don't know how many of you have heard of The Blue Zones. I actually got this book for off of like the dollar shelf of a used bookstore, and I'm like, I am going to learn the lessons for living a long life for a buck. What a win that was, right? So this was published by National Geographic. Dan Buettner is the author, and it was published in 2008 with an update in 2012. And what these people did is they went to areas of the world, the United States not being one of them, where people lived the longest lives. And they interviewed them about how have you thrived into your elderly years? And some repeat here. So these are the 9 lessons that they discovered from these people. So this is like the essence of what well-being meant to these folks who've lived long lives. Number 1, move your body. Intentionally move your body. Going for walks, moderate exercise, move your body. 2, Stop eating when our stomachs are 80% full. 3, eliminate processed foods, and they go even a little further about really prioritizing a plant-based diet. I work with a lot of farmers and ranchers, so I just couldn't put that in the PowerPoint, but limiting meat. 1 glass of dark red wine daily, or wherever these people lived, like in their culture, what their type of common alcoholic drink was. Just 1 glass of dark red wine or whatever drink was daily. And what I also found interesting about that one, because I was like, oh, in our culture in North Dakota, alcohol reigns supreme. So moderation. And in much of the chapter around that, it was in a social context with good friends and family. So you have that social protective factor piece. Number 5, a strong sense of purpose. Why I wake up in the morning. And I would call this your spiritual protective factor, which when we were talking about wellness, people hit the emotional, mental, physical wellness. But there's a missing piece that's really huge. And that's spiritual wellness, which is around our sense of hope and our sense of purpose. So they had these people that lived very long lives, or people in the region of the world where they were interviewing them tend to live long lives. They had a strong sense of purpose. They took time to rest and socialize as a stress reduction means, a coping strategy. They participated in a spiritual community. They made family a priority. And they surrounded themselves with other people who shared their values. Fascinating, right? Nothing difficult, nothing earth-shattering, no major light bulb moments. Um, but it's just really good, solid strategies. So if you have the opportunity to pick up or listen to the Blue Zones, I think it'll be really interesting, an interesting read or interesting listen for you. And for anybody who has read it or listened to it, feel free to put in comments like what your takeaway was. So again, just a little piece around what is wellness? What does wellness mean? So along with wellness, when we look at thriving, what does net thriving mean? So Gallup measured stages of engagement in work. And they found that you could be engaged, like you could be engaged in your work, committed to your work, pouring yourself into your work, or your employees, the people you manage could be, but not feeling like they are thriving in life. So they found that when people were engaged but not thriving, there was still a 61% higher likelihood of burnout, 48% higher likelihood of daily stress, 66% higher likelihood of daily worry, and double the rate of daily sadness and anger. However, when they were engaged and thriving, there were actually 53% fewer missed days due to health issues. They liked being at work. They felt good being at work. They were connected at work. That's the thriving piece. So a lot of our folks can do the work and they might be good at the work, but are they themselves personally thriving in the work environment? So let's take a look at where you are in the best possible life scale. And I have to scroll down because this doesn't fit in one screen. All you're going to have to do is put a number. Okay, so put A if you are suffering, life is miserable, negative view of the next 5 years, many worries. And then somewhere in between that, B, you're a 2, C, you're a 3, D, you're a 4. E, you are struggling, you have daily stress and worry, then you go up to, F or 6, you're not, maybe it's not struggling, but just a hair over. Then you have 7, 8, 9, and 10, which would be a J, is that you feel like you're thriving. You have positive view of life now and for the next 5 years. You have few health problems. I wish this wouldn't have cut off. I wish this wouldn't have cut off the rest of that paragraph. Let me see if I can find it. You get the idea though, right? I just wanted to find a net thriving. Well, it's going to take me too long. So you get the idea. All right. So we have all the way from A to J. So put in your letter. Where are you? J, thriving, positive view of life now and for the foreseeable future. You feel good physically. You have few health problems. And then there is a range from thriving to struggling, where you have daily stress and worry, that would be an E. And then between struggling and suffering, where life is miserable, your view of the next 5 years is very negative, many worries, health problems, that would be an A. So we don't have anybody who indicates they are suffering or the next couple steps after suffering. 5% of folks are right at the suffering, struggling piece. We have 10% of you who are struggling. So significant, impactful daily stress and worry. And then kind of a spread throughout down to thriving. So 10% are thriving. 14% would just be that notch below thriving. 7% in between struggling and thriving, or I mean 24% G7 in between struggling and thriving. Okay. Gives a good view of where we're at, kind of like the bell curve, right? We've got the average and then we've got the outliers. So statistically, our little group of 32 is probably right on target. All right. So how can employers improve what we call net thriving, where employees are engaged, but they are also thriving? And the key is really through engaging them personally. So how can that happen? There are 5 elements to creating thriving teams. We're going to break these down, and I'm going to be asking you at the end of each of these sections, what is happening at your place of employment that promotes this section of well-being? Now, again, you might be tempted to write in like, not a darn thing. They don't do anything to promote this sense of well-being. Not what we're looking for. This is an idea generating task. So for those of you that are experiencing some of this or taking part of this or noting this in your workplace, we want that shared so that others can hear like what's going well, what's working, how do you promote social well-being within your workplace. So just throwing that out there because there will be polls and we want it to be a positive learning, sharing type of assignment. All right, so first we're going to go through all 5. So there's career well-being, which means you like what you do every day. Social well-being, you have meaningful friendships in your life, particularly at work for this context. Financial well-being, you're managing your money well. Physical well-being, you have energy to get things done. And community well-being is you like where you live. So these are the 5 elements of well-being. We're going to take these and look at them in a workplace context. How can we as a supervisor, manager, administrator work to build and boost these elements of well-being in our employees, in the lives of the people that we manage? It's really about creating a culture that people want to be in because their areas of well-being are being addressed. Okay, so we're going to start with career well-being. 20%, only 20% of employees strongly agree that they like what they do every day. Think about the employees you either work with or you manage. So if these numbers are accurate, only 20% of those folks strongly agree that they like what they do every day. Those who disagree or strongly disagree that they like what they do every day report substantially higher daily boredom, more anger, and lower engagement than those who strongly agree. So, what can we do to boost career well being? First thing, make sure everyone knows their strengths. There are tons of options out there for, strength inventories, career interest inventories, things like that, that help people really hone in on what are my strengths and am I in the right role given my strengths? So helping people know that. And then looking at, if you're a manager, supervisor, administrator, looking at your role a little bit differently from a manager or supervisor to a coach. It gives a different mindset. Um, just changing that word, changing that picture in our mind that I'm not supervising these folks, I'm coaching them. And that means things like setting goals with the individuals on your team and the team. It means providing meaningful feedback, and Gallup suggests weekly. Let's keep that engagement. So it's very fluid. And I know what's really hard in the helping industry is that the majority of supervisors, managers, administration also are doing the work. And so it is difficult sometimes to manage our own caseload and be the coach that we would like to be to our team. So there's gonna have to be some prioritizing, some efficiencies that you will be looking at for yourself to make this happen. And then make well-being a priority to include life and overall purpose and well-being. So this is like big picture, and it's talked about on the team, like holistic. Many of you indicated more of that holistic um, sense of wellness and purpose. Like what is our purpose as an organization? What is your purpose as an individual? What drives you? What do you feel joy? What feeds your soul? Why do you get up in the morning? Like from the Blue Zones book. Okay. So again, helpful feedback here. What does your workplace do to assist with identifying strengths, to assist with individual goal setting, for providing personal feedback? What kind of things are happening out there that people would like to share? Okay, so redirection, maybe helping people understand that, this isn't working. Let's redirect to here. So regular one-on-ones. Gallup suggests weekly team meetings, weekly check-ins and one-on-ones. This person does a one-on-one monthly, might be enough depending on needs. Acceptance. Check-ins, regular check-ins, team meetings. And for those just doing the team meetings, I want to encourage you to break that up and connect individually. I mean, the team component, critical to really address well-being for our folks. We need to get one-on-one with them. Offering guidance, so more of that coaching aspect. Open door policy, can call anytime. I'm here, I'm available. Great. Really good. I'll just scroll down so we can, good influences. What that means to me is that whoever is the manager, supervisor, administrator is a good example, a good mentor to those working with and for them. If that's not what you meant, let me know. A recognition program, annual reviews. And again, the annual reviews are especially meaningful if you've had regular, consistent contact, coaching, mentoring, guidance, ongoing. Lots of contact with your folks. Monthly one-to-ones. I'm seeing a lot of monthly over weekly. Maybe comment on, is weekly in your job setting even possible? Would weekly even be a thing that could possibly happen with given workload, given number of employees? I'm seeing lots of monthly one-on-ones. I'm wondering if weekly is just like out of the question. Any comments on that? Okay, weekly team meetings, monthly one-on-ones, caseload is 50, so no way to do a weekly. So it's not that there's too many employees on the team maybe to do a weekly, but each employee's caseload is so large, and probably supervisor's caseload is large, that to do a weekly one-on-one is not practical or possible. But they do have the weekly team meeting, so that's a good touch point. Any other comments on that? Weekly, monthly, bi-weekly means kind of finding. And granted, some employees are going to do fine with a monthly one-to-one. There are some employees, especially during the, if they're new, they may need to meet with you multiple times a week. They may need that level of coaching. So it's important that we recognize that. Okay, anything with strength, identifying strengths. Does anybody do like a strengths finder assessment or anything like that, where they are doing some type of a survey or an assessment to identify strengths? So we've got regional team meetings on Zoom, caseload is large, supervisors do individual check-ins via email or phone call. Okay, good. Okay, so we have some people doing the strengths finder or the disc. That's so good for the purposes of the individual and in the context of the larger team. Like, what is the impact of us working together based on our individual strengths? Awesome. So that all falls under career well-being. Okay, now we are going to move to social well-being, the second area of creating a thriving team. So Gallup found that 1 in 4 people, 25%, strongly agree that their friends and family give them positive energy every day. That's not very high. 3 in 10 employees strongly agree that they have a best friend at work. That's not very high. I've worked at settings for it, in some cases years, 5, 6 years. I have left that work setting and have had not one person I remained connected to other than maybe by social media. There was not a socially cohesive, it wasn't encouraged or facilitated. So let's look at that. How do we assist our teams, the individuals on our team, to grow maintain, encourage that social connection that is so incredibly important to overall mental health and to staying in a workplace. If people are not connected in their workplace to others, the chances that they will leave very strong. So some ideas are to include socializing in the onboarding of new employees. So having lunch together, administration coming and having lunch with new employees, having time where they are interacting with current employees. So there's some piece of onboarding that is dedicated to socializing. And be thinking in your mind about what you guys do in your workplace, because I'll be asking that question again. Talk to employees and get to know them as people. They bring who they are to their job, to their work. So when we can know them, when we can be talking openly, having good flowing conversations, that is valuable. And then integrate with other well-being areas by asking for input, volunteering together, sharing ideas. So when we look at the other, well, we're on number 2 now, but the 5 well-being areas, social well-being can be inserted into several of them, can be paired with several of them. So for example, the 5th area is going to be community well-being. Well, if we're doing things together, volunteering together, adopting a highway together, whatever, that is creating a good social bonding, social well-being environment. So it's looking for those opportunities. Many of us in the helping professions, again, we work kind of in isolation from our team members much of the time. We're working with clients, we're working parallel to team members, but not very often with them. So what does your workplace do to promote socializing at work? Let's hear some ideas. Team building events. If you want to expand on that, what kind of things do you do for team building? Just to give others some ideas. Potlucks. Oh, yes. Nothing like a good potluck. Appreciation lunches, monthly luncheons, monthly group night out, department picnics, annual recognition awards. Oh, a puzzle in the common area so everybody can work together to create the puzzle. Uno Fridays, I love it. So does there end up being an Uno champion at the close of each Friday? Like I'm envisioning a little trophy being passed around every week. Group messaging, plant therapy. So plants in the office, is that what we're talking about? Are we talking about if somebody's having a down week, all of a sudden they come in and there's a plant on their desk? Like if you want to write more about plant therapy, um, that would be great. Birthday treats. I contract with an employer who does that. They let the birthday person say what their favorite treat is, and they get that, and it goes in the lounge. Okay, using the Slack app, oh, lunches together, using the Slack app to communicate for all statewide employees. And then there's something else there. And of course, I'm not knowing why this is cutting out. I'm guessing monthly something. Oh, learning how to propagate plants. That's awesome. Sharing the wealth kind of, right? I'll bring in one and we can propagate and have 10. Awesome ideas. Anything else around promoting socializing at work? Monthly dinner meetings, regional or state. So that concept of bringing people together. And what I see a lot of on here is we're bringing people together around food, which is common, especially in our region of the country. Um, but also what's fun to see is around games. Like we're playing games together. That's very fun. All right. Let's go to the third area of wellness that Gallup found was key to creating engaged, thriving teams. And that's financial well-being. Only 1 in 4 Americans reported no money worries in the last week. Who are those people? I'm like, wow, I didn't even know there were 25% of Americans that reported no money worries in the last week, but apparently there are. Um, but low stress, around 25% of all Americans report no money worries in the last week, which I'm sure ebbs and flows depending on time of year. Struggling or suffering, and this is a big statement, struggling or suffering financial well-being is the single strongest predictor of daily worry and stress for people with jobs. And it's kind of a weird situation to be in because we're at the job to make money, unless you're on as a volunteer. Bless your heart. That's awesome. Most of us are being paid in some form or fashion for our work. So we're on the job to make money to help ease our financial burdens, right? But we're still stressed financially while doing the work. And it becomes sometimes a very awkward and uncomfortable conversation around, I need to be paid early. I need a raise. We in the helping professions typically don't enjoy conversations around finances. But we have to recognize that when we are looking at recruiting, retaining, supporting, helping people thrive, this is something that has to be addressed. And it doesn't mean it has to be addressed, but just by, given raises and bonuses, because that's not always the answer, right? There are people that win the lottery and the next week they have nothing. So things that we can do as managers, supervisors, administrators is provide services that help with financial planning, tracking, investing, and savings resources and tools. Many people just don't know where to start, or they feel like they're so buried. Like, how do I even get out of this financial pit that I'm in? So, providing tools that the employee can start using and make progress on. Things like apps, books. Some EAPs provide financial counseling services. So how can those tools or resources be shared with your team as a tool to help them kind of help themselves get to a place of good financial well-being? Another option is to really encourage the programs you have around long-term savings and retirement investment. I mean, a lot of times people feel like I can't skim any more off my check to put into my 401k. I just can't. But if you keep encouraging, give them tools, have them meet with the financial people that represent your company, give them, a lot of it's virtual now, give them the login info, revisit it, sit down as a team with that person on the screen just to talk through it, make it a thing, like make it like, we're going to talk about this. We don't, people don't need to talk about their own personal financial status, but we're going to talk about what we're offering to help people not have to worry so much about money. And then have effective pay conversations to improve perceptions of fairness. And this is really big because when we are in areas where it's tough to recruit, Sometimes people start at a higher rate, and as much as maybe administration thinks that co-employees don't talk about it, they talk about it. And so there may be some perceptions of that this is really unfair. I've been here longer. How are we going to make this fair? And that's a discussion that needs to happen to eliminate or to prevent really hard feelings among your team. So some of this is going to be arming supervisors or managers with the tools on how to have that conversation. And that may be a good conversation with HR. If you have an HR person, like, how can I talk about this? How can I promote these financial tools? So, and team incentives, just depending on your workplace, a lot of times in the helping professions, we don't really have financial incentives. That's more kind of in sales. But if it makes sense to do some type of an incentive program around financial well-being, more power to you. So, what does your workplace do to assist in financial well-being? What are some things your workplace does to assist in financial well-being? Oops, truly nothing. I was wondering. It's kind of a pause here. Okay, we have somebody with an EAP that offers financial services, matching retirement, and financial advisors are available. Very, very good. Wellness webinar intro with the local financial planner. So if you're saying your agency currently does nothing, note some of these ideas because they're not really, you know, outlandish things. So adding a financial piece to an EAP, doing a retirement match, and or having financial advisors available for whoever does your retirement stuff, bringing in a local financial planner to do a wellness webinar, financial wellness webinar. Employee wellness program has offered webinars on financial things. The investment rep comes in. These are all really good. Host financial webinars with financial institutions. Our 401k company has a financial well-being class. That's awesome. Free health, dental, and vision. So as part of your benefits package. Does any with some of the financial uh, planning pieces, any apps that are beneficial that you have been using or recommending around financial planning, debt management, budgeting? I know a common one that I hear about is the Dave Ramsey app, which is it Every Dollar? I think it's Every Dollar. It's a budgeting tool that you assign every dollar that comes in to something. So all of a sudden you don't have like, oh my gosh, I should have had 500 bucks in my account and now there's nothing. Any other apps that anybody uses around budgeting, financial planning? I'm not seeing anything pop up here. Go back. No, nothing. Okay. All right. Good ideas. This is often an uncomfortable thing, weird thing to talk about in the field of helping professions because we don't historically like to attach money to helping people. Um, but we all have bills to pay, right? I mean, it's just part of how it is. So if we can eliminate stressors for our team, if we can help our individuals become thriving um, individuals personally and in the workplace, this is a big part of it. because that is the one of the main stressors that folks carry with them. Okay, then we get to physical well-being. Um, Kind of when we say well-being, maybe one of the first things that might pop into our mind. But some stats, 75% of medical costs are mostly due to preventable conditions. About 1 in 10 Americans agree that their physical health is near perfect, so not very many. 2 in 10 Americans strongly agree that they have felt active and productive every day in the past week. So again, pretty low numbers when it comes to how we feel about our physical health and how we feel about our activity level. So, what can we do in a workplace to reinforce and promote physical well being? It's reinforcing behaviors that have long term benefits. So, different, and I'm really curious to hear what different wellness initiatives, physical wellness initiatives are happening um, when we get to the polling, because some of the ones that I've seen, it's really been around prevention, right? Which then in turn is reinforcing behaviors that have long-term benefits, like cutting down on sugar, increasing activity level, um, decreasing or eliminating nicotine use, a number of things. So reinforcing behaviors that have long-term benefits. Make communicating the importance of physical well-being an expectation for managers. So every manager, every supervisor, every administrator talks about this, talks about whatever well-being program is happening, talks about successes that have been shared with them. If you're having a workplace challenge, that is celebrated. If it's, um, oh, I just lost the word, hypertension month, and the conversation is educating staff, what is hypertension, how do we do better with it, whatever, it is shared, it's spotlighted, because we want our people to be physically healthy, to feel good, to have energy. um, Whoops, I guess there's only those two. So really interested to hear, what does your workplace do to support more of like that physical health and well-being component? Are there programs? Are there initiatives? Are there challenges? Is there a treadmill in the break room? Um, are there healthy snacks in the fridge? I go to one workplace that their fridge is literally stocked with fruit, veggies, yogurts, cheese sticks. Okay, I gotta scroll down here. All right, 15-minute wellness walks, weight loss challenges with vacation days earned, a treadmill desk. So I've talked to some of those folks, which led me to buy one last winter. Just a little walking track under the desk on a, raised, a stand-up desk or whatever. Healthy living program with insurance. Many insurances that you have in your benefit have some type of living well, well-being prevention kind of a program with different perks. Treadmill in the break room, wellness program supports walking breaks, stand-up desks, fresh to desk, healthy snacks for purchase, offering extra vacation days for completing health challenges. Awesome. We pay full family medical, dental, and vision premiums to encourage better health for the whole family. That's amazing. Healthy vending machine, program to gain points for engaging in physical activities and complete biometric screenings. How fun would that be that we can complete as an individual? And I'm wondering if this is done right in the workplace, like as an employee, we can have biometric screenings done. That's pretty cool. Health insurance provider offers wellness classes on different topics. Really good stuff. And more than what I'm seeing is it's not just a month-long initiative and then it goes away. We've got vending machines and treadmills and things that are there. They're embedded in the workplace to promote health, physical health. And we know physical, mental, emotional health, spiritual health, all tied in together. Anything else that your workplace does to promote, support, oh, walking meetings. Awesome. If there's an employee cafeteria where you work, I know a lot of there's been a shift to, healthier options on in employee cafeterias or on buffets. Okay, really good. Great ideas. And then the fifth area of wellness that Gallup found was one of the critical ones for creating engaged, thriving teams and individuals is community wellness. So organizations with better corporate social responsibility, so they're involved in their community, outperform their peers on key financial metrics. So as an organization, when we are involved in our community, when we are contributing, we are more successful overall. Nearly 1 in 4 Americans strongly agree that the community or area where they live is a perfect place for them. Again, only 25% strongly agree that their community or area they live is a perfect place for them. So we need to have that conversation by being aware of community issues that are most important to your employees. Are your employees dealing with not being able to access childcare? Are they dealing with high crime in their community? What is happening for them in their community that is a significant issue? It's important that we know that about our people. And then encourage employees to choose community programs that are personally meaningful to them, such as volunteering or team building. And I know some employers do things as a team and they will, sponsor something or do a highway cleanup or volunteer at an event. And others give rewards or different, depending on the initiative, acknowledgement to people who are involved in their own personal choice of like a nonprofit or they volunteer for a charity, things like that. And then give employees along the same lines, give employees opportunities to share what they are doing in their community, publicly recognize community contributions. So if you have somebody who's, organizing a walk, apart from work, they're doing it for their community. If they're hosting after prom parties, if they're whatever, recognize that within the workplace. Oh gosh, I'm going to mute for just one. Okay. Let me know if you can't hear me. My dog just woke up, guessing the UPS man is here. So let's hear from you. How does your workplace promote community engagement? What kinds of things does your workplace do to be involved or promote or encourage engagement in your community? This must be a tougher one. Free events where community is invited. Wellness incentives, which equal vacation hours for volunteering in your off time.
Period project. Staff donated women's hygiene items and we packed them in a Ziploc bag for shelters and schools. Awesome. Allows time to volunteer at events. As a member of the nonprofit community, my agency provides many free events for the community. Events for the community. So you're interacting in and with the community. Sets up booths at events and asks employees to volunteer. Community projects such as food drives or hygiene drives. Awesome. Can really be a great bonding effort. And if you can do a project around the concerns that your employees have in their community, that's even more meaningful. Anything else on promotion of community engagement? Provides a platform, to inform of volunteer activities. What a great idea. So they let people know what agencies around them are looking for volunteers. Great idea. All right. We have covered all 5, but I want to just at the end of that discussion, I want to just throw out a few things that can accelerate a net thriving culture. So we've got the 5 areas that we just went through. And then there are some accelerators, or they could be decelerators if they're not working well, right? So one is, do the rules and guidelines within your organization work for or against thriving in each of those 5 elements? So looking at the 5 areas we talked about, the social, the community, the, my dog is throwing me off here, so I can't think. So community, physical, financial, social, and career. In those 5 areas, does your guidelines, policies, and rules work for or against them? So things to think about. Communication, are your messages from leaders, supervisors, managers, and administration consistent with a high performing and net thriving culture? Do they elevate the 5 elements that we talked about? Are your physical facilities, your space, is it easy to move around in your space? Do you have windows to see outdoors? Is it easy to have collaboration where a team can meet? How conducive are your facilities to the 5 elements? And then incentives. Do the incentives work? Do they inspire participation that produce results, or are people like, not worth the effort? So are the incentives helping? Are they accelerating involvement in different initiatives? And then recognition. This is a tough one too. Is recognition happening in a way that's meaningful to people? Or are they just like, oh, I guess it's just my turn because I haven't been picked yet? Are there opportunities? Is there even recognition happening, I guess? Are opportunities being shared that promote recognizing an individual? Are you celebrating the successes that people experience in the different areas of well-being? Are you celebrating if someone passes a licensure exam, if someone has a community award, if someone has moved to a different position? Are we noting those? And then events. Are the events building awareness of a net thriving culture, and do they change behaviors? So if we're listening to webinars, if they're bringing in speakers, if we're going to conferences and trainings, how is that impacting the culture? And then development, so growth, training programs. Do those plans include well-being goals in the 5 areas? So these are questions, 7 questions that you can ask yourself about your workplace, your culture, your team. And it helps get things into alignment. Because if some things are in alignment, but you have this big piece over here that isn't, it really disrupts the flow and disrupts creating that net thriving culture where we have engaged employees. Okay, let's talk about risks. What are risks that we see in our workplaces to a thriving culture? First risk is employee mental health. When we as an employee are not doing well mentally, we are not going to be able to contribute to a thriving culture because we are hurting and we need help. So the more we can bolster and support good, solid employee mental health, the better, obviously, for that individual as well as the team. It is a risk when folks do not know their purpose or if their job description or their expectations at all lack clarity. So if they're unsure of what they're supposed to be doing or how they're supposed to be doing it, they don't understand the reasons why, that is a huge risk to creating a thriving workplace culture and team. If we are overly reliant on policies, programs, and perks, where the relationship piece, the interaction is kind of set to the side, that is a risk. So we want to have these things, right? We want the policies, programs, and perks, but we want to be sure that they are meaningful, useful, engaging, that they're not just there in print on paper and there's not really buy-in. So we need to be careful about that. Number 4, huge risk to a thriving culture is poorly skilled managers. And one thing that I have seen over the past 30 years that I have been in this business of behavioral health is that many times we will have someone who is a very skilled therapist, case manager, social worker. And so we automatically assume that they will be an awesome knockout as a supervisor or manager. Just because someone has the skills to do the work and to interact with clients or whatever their skill set is, does not mean they're automatically going to be skilled as a manager, supervisor, administrator. And we have to be careful about that because we often put people in places where they have been soaring in their career and experiencing great success and they have happiness, and they are moved to something where they should see it as a promotion and a really good thing. And it's not where their skill set is. It's not where their passion is. So we just have to be really careful about what goes into selecting who our managers, supervisors, trainers, administration are. Okay. Any comments, questions on risks? That was kind of quick. And use chat for this because I don't have a poll. Okay, I'm not seeing anything pop up, so we're going to keep right on going. Okay, let's talk a little bit about career engagement. We talked in the beginning about how vital it is for people to be engaged in their career to feel that sense of thriving, right? So the 5 most important, highest priority engagement items that each person wants to know and understand are my expectations, my strengths, my development, my opinions, and my mission or purpose. And we're going to run through these. And if you are one of those 65% of folks that are supervising or managing programs and people, think about these in terms of the individuals on your team. Are they, from what you know of them, are they tuned into these? Are they being heard? Are they able to share these with you? If you are that 35% that you don't manage people, think about this for yourself. And how do you engage your supervisor or your manager with these items? So 5 most important or highest priority engagement items. We're going to break them down. First, my expectations. 50%, half of employees are unsure about their roles. So if you manage people, cut your staff down the middle, half of them are unsure about what they're supposed to be doing. These folks report higher daily worry, stress, anxiety, and loneliness or isolation, causing them to be unable to perform in a way that is expected because they don't know what's expected. So it's like this vicious cycle. Some tips for, and I can send these slides out too, some tips for helping to clarify and just make very clear the expectations is number 1, sit down with each individual and set clear goals. Provide them with adequate resources to meet goals. Lead collaborative goal setting as a team. And nurture collective intelligence or how roles work together. It is a horrible feeling to be siloed in a workplace and know, like, I really need to tap into that person or that program so we can work together to serve my client. But there's a whole nother process in getting to them. Like, let's streamline, let's look at how we can flow as a team so that we can each do our jobs better and more efficiently and meet the needs of our clients. So a lot about clarity and communication around expectations. Okay, second is strengths. And we talked a bit about this in career well-being. When managers position people to use their natural talents and strengths, they get better results. That's why it's so great when you can have those like strengths finders or DISC assessments and help people understand on paper, like, look, this is where you shine. They probably know it and feel it, but it helps define it. So the way you can make this happen on the job is to build a job fit system. And it can even be based on one of those assessment tools. So if somebody with StrengthsFinder has higher scores in this area, or someone comes up with this DISC profile, they are better suited to whatever. Identify and embrace unique strengths within roles. A lot of times in workplaces, we get competitive. I work more than they do. We have more expectations than that program. That program has it so easy, and on and on and on, which creates division on a team or in a workplace, right? So when we can identify, embrace, talk about, bring to light unique strengths within each role in our agency, that is a really unifying task. And then give employees challenging assignments that align with their natural abilities. When people can act on their passion, when they can take on extra responsibilities in an area that they feel really excited about, it causes that thriving to increase greatly. So not just engagement, I'm doing my work, I'm here every day, I'm serving the people, but up to that next level of thriving because they're really truly they're able to use their strengths and they're being noticed for the strengths that they do possess. Okay, let's look at development. Doing work that feels the same over and over, year after year, grinds the spirit out of people. This is the top reason people change companies. It's a clear lack of career development. So I'm here and I'm always going to be here. And I'm getting burnt out. I need a change. And sometimes people change careers. I mean, not just companies, but they change careers because they don't see how they can develop in their role. So that's important in your organization or agency. Give that some thought. How can we assist our employees in developing their skills, developing goals, adding to expectations, meaning something else has to be taken away so they have room on their plate for the additions. But that whole idea of growth, what does that look like in your organization? How can you promote that? So some ideas for development: design a system for mentoring. Do you have mentors on the job? Do you have peers or coworkers that can act as mentors? Goals, focus on those goals, individual, team. Use validated manager training and watch for manager burnout. So when our managers, our supervisors, our administration starts getting burned out, the trickle down effect is huge, huge. So really making sure that when we are placing someone in a management role, we are providing them with some support and resources. And then opinions. Feeling like your opinions matter is closely tied to respect. 2/3 of employees who think their opinions count are thriving in their overall lives. Not feeling like your opinions count is a key factor in burnout. So, number one, seek employee input. Hear from your employees in whatever way, in anonymous polling and surveying and one-on-one conversations. What do you think? What's working well? When I worked in school-based mental health, the two most valuable positions in that school, well, three: the office secretary, the custodian, and the ladies in the cafeteria. People in the cafeteria, not just ladies. Because they had their finger on the pulse of what was happening in that building. Was their input ever sought out? Rarely, if ever. So be sure that you are kind of taking the temperature of your workplace. You're getting feedback, you're understanding dynamics. And then you're empowering your employees. If they have an idea for a change or an improvement or an increase in efficiency, if it's doable, hey, let's try it out. Encourage them, run with it. Let me know how it turns out. Let me know if it's helpful to you, and then we can share with the team. That's hugely empowering. And then mission or purpose. So this goes back to, like, in the Blue Zone book, the longest living people, one of the 9 things they going for was they knew why they woke up in the morning. 1 in 3 employees strongly agree that the mission or purpose of their organization makes them feel their job is important. Every company, virtually every company, has a mission statement it's the manager who makes work meaningful. So you probably have your mission statement on a wall somewhere, in your employee manual, even on the signature line of your email. But if it's not a living, breathing mission statement, it is just another poster on the wall that's overlooked. So the mission statement, the managers, the supervisors, the administration are the ones that are responsible for making that mission statement a living, breathing statement. So memorize it if you haven't. If you're a manager of people, become acquainted with your mission statement and start embedding it in your conversations and embedding it in your work, because that gives purpose. So make your mission or purpose clear and concise so every employee can relate it to the work they do every day. Like, it ties in directly. I see it directly through my work and my contribution. I'm adding to the mission and purpose of this organization. And then get out in front of burnout. So changing priorities with no vision, rhyme, or reason is going to create anxiety. If we hand down changes, and that's when I have polled people around workplace stress, change is one of the top stressors. That change gets thrown at them without preparation, without explanation, and often without direction in how to implement the change. Definitely a recipe for burnout and anxiety. So change always happens. It's going to happen. It should happen, right? We don't do things the same way we did, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. But how we assist our folks in preparing for the change and implementing the change is very, very important. Okay, any conversations around that piece? The 5 most important or highest priority engagement items to get employees engaged and thriving. Their expectations, strengths, development, opinions, and mission or purpose. Okay. And now we're going to talk about, last section, employee strengths. Each of your employees is unique. Knowing your employees' strengths is the first step to having the most individualized, positive, and effective wellness conversations with them. So important to know the folks that we are supervising as individuals and to know the strengths they possess and to grow and nurture those strengths. It has an amazing impact on people. So with that, this is the closing poll. So we're a little early, but we have a couple more things coming. What are your top takeaways from our hour-and-a-half conversation? This is in the poll. You can just, doesn't have to be one word, can be a sentence, phrase, paragraph. Top takeaways from the last hour-and-a-half. What stuck? What are you thinking, like, gosh, I'm going to address this. I'm going to take this idea back. I wonder if this is working, because it says to start the presentation to see live content. I think this poll is not working. Go ahead and put it in chat if you're comfortable. If you want to stay anonymous, just make it to me, address it to me in chat, because for some reason this poll isn't online. So top takeaways from the hour-and-a-half. Items that were kind of sparked interest, Okay, we've got take care of each other and yourself. Your first sentence, individuals on the team need to be well, have workplace wellness, have wellness in the workplace. We have to be well as individuals. Engagement with employees is important. I feel like my work needs to do more. I feel like my work needs to do more things to get us working together better and to just check in on us. Okay. So direct communication. Other places seem to be doing a lot of fun things. So maybe your place needs to be doing something fun too. Fun is so important. Oh my goodness. Because this is hard work. Helping professions are hard. It's hard, hard work on every level, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We need to have fun. What else? Any other top takeaways people want to throw into chat? Don't use the poll because for some reason this poll is not online. So many great ideas to bring back and work on implementing more frequent individual check-ins when possible. And sometimes when you see people struggling in their role, maybe the first thought needs to be, I wonder if they're clear on what's expected of them. Because if half of all employees are not clear on what expectations are, that's pretty huge. So sometimes we want to jump into discipline, or they should know. I'm thinking parenting, even with this, are they clear on their expectations? We can assume they are, but we need to ask them. Okay. Being aware of each individual's strengths and weaknesses. When your workplace is involved, more motivated to strive for balanced wellness. Good. Any other takeaways? Okay. This is my contact info. And of course, you're free to contact me if there's anything you have questions about or want clarified. I'm happy to get back to you. Just call, text, email. And we can definitely have a conversation about that. Okay, we have another comment in the chat about a takeaway. Be more aware of my own failures and be willing to make changes or ask for help. And I would even just tweak that word failure, like be more aware of areas that I want to grow in or learn. That word failure is tough. You haven't failed if you're willing to grow, learn, make changes. It's part of the process. All right. Networking time, and I will share the link for them. And remember, the survey is 2 parts, survey and CEU certificate. So you click on the link, you will select this training, the Creating Thriving Teams training. You'll answer a few survey questions. Then there is an additional, at the end of that, there's an additional link you'll have to click on, a button to click on to go to the CEU certificate. So I will share that in a moment, but we have, I think, Shay, are you available to do some sharing on programs? And for the rest of you, this is like free marketing opportunity for any programs where you have openings for clients and or you're hiring, any expansions that you want people in the state to know about. We've got people on here from every corner of North Dakota. So I'll have Faye jump in.
Yeah, hi everyone. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Perfect, perfect. All right. Well, I think the easiest way is I'm gonna talk about really briefly just some of the things I'm gonna share, and then I'm gonna attach all of these links into the chat. So you have them. So the first thing I just want to quickly go over is our Behavioral Health Division website. This is going to be your main page that you're going to go to. If you do not know what the Behavioral Health Division website is about, essentially any sort of behavioral health, mental health, substance use, suicide prevention, anything to do with behavioral health is going to be found on this website. Like I said, I'm going to put that link in the chat as well. So that's just a really good website to just get familiar with. It's going to have a lot of opportunities for additional webinars. So this one right here today, that's listed under our free behavioral health training section. Again, I'm going to put that specific link into the chat, but if you're looking for continued education, webinars, trainings, and mostly I think all of them have been free from the ones that I've seen come across on that website. They will be updated on a regular basis. And I would just recommend that you continue to check out that section. Again, I'm going to put that link in the chat as well. We also have what is somewhat kind of new, I guess, within the last couple of years. It's called our North Dakota Mental Health Directory. And essentially, that was something that the Behavioral Health Division put together as essentially like this database where anyone that's providing mental health services can register. And it essentially is this database for anyone in the public in North Dakota to utilize and search when it comes to behavioral or mental health providers. So if you know someone or yourself that's looking for just some, mental health supports, you would go into that database. It's pretty easy to utilize. And so we've been sharing this quite a bit, especially if you have someone coming across you that's just looking for those supports. They're able to put in their zip code or region or county that they're in. And there's a way to filter just kind of what they're looking for. And it really was just a one-stop shop that would be available to the public where they could put in their information and search for a mental health provider. We do have a couple exciting advancements coming out here in August that will make filters even more accessible and easier to access when it comes to information like insurance and then even special populations that mental health providers serve. So yeah, I will throw that link in the chat as well, but get familiar with that mental health directory for sure and share it as you see fit. And the last two things I want to mention is we do have a suicide prevention page as well that is pretty new. I just took a look at it today, and it's a pretty robust website that just has a lot of suicide prevention resources, trainings, support groups, just information and guidance on anything to do with suicide prevention here in North Dakota. Again, I'll put that link in the chat as well. And the last thing I want to just market really quickly and advertise is our behavioral health conference that's connected with the Family and Children's Services as well. So this is our yearly conference that we are going to be holding here in Bismarck, and lots of CEUs, lots of education, a lot of great speakers that are scheduled, and I'll put that link in the chat as well. So if you are interested in attending for yourself, I know that there are discounts available for a few roles like peer support, adoptive and foster parents, kinship, and university students also are getting a discount available to attend that conference. And then also, if you just want to market your organization, there is a way to have a booth get set up as a way to represent your organization as well. Again, that link will be in the chat as well. So there should be about 5 separate links that I'll be putting in the chats. And then, like I said, feel free, if there's only one link that you remember, it's going to be our Behavioral Health Division main website, because all of the things that I just talked about are going to be found on that website for sure. So if there are any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, or I can just open it up here for a few seconds if there are any questions right now regarding anything that I just talked about. If not, pass it on to someone else who may have some resources to share.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shay. Lots of good info. Anyone else? Any announcements about your organization, expansions, openings, client openings, workforce openings? Well, I will go ahead and also put, you're going to be getting lots of links in the chat, but I will put in the link to the survey in CEU. So that is in the chat right now. You can go ahead and fill that out. Again, it's going to be a few survey questions, and then it's going to go into the CEU. Miranda, I saw you turn your camera on. Did you want to share something? I want to make sure you have an opportunity if you.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to share a little bit about our organization at Arcos Health. We do have a lot of social services case manager positions open throughout the state. And when I say a lot, we have a lot. We have some, let me just pull it up here. We have community outreach mobile service coordinators that we have like a mobile unit and we go out into the community. We meet clients where they're at. That's kind of what our organization does. We work with the Medicaid expansion population. We have some care community health workers that are throughout the state as well. So we have regions in Minot, Bismarck, Grand Forks, and Fargo, but we also have some territories in like Devil's Lake, Jamestown, Dickinson. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but we have some other locations like that. So we are hiring, and I will put the link for all of our careers on the chat for everybody to see.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Miranda.
Absolutely.
Okay, so on the chat, you will have, I'm just going down the order of the links. You will have the survey CEU link from me, and then you have a number of links from Shay, one to the behavioral health page on the Health and Human Services website, behavioral health trainings page, suicide prevention page, mental health program directory page, and then the information about the 2024 Behavioral Health and Children and Family Services Conference. And then Miranda's going to be adding a link as well. Anyone else? Okay, so Miranda's link is on there.